Milestone 2, Task 2, and this is images of the landmark building to reduce that issue because no matter what time of the day is, you want to have shadow detail and highlight detail. So I have added actually some exposure to this image. I'm going to add highlight detail back into the image. I've opened the shadows, so we go from here to here, so you can see all the different detail that wasn't showing. And then I've added blacks to bring back some of the tone. So we go from this image to this one, which was a lot cleaner and clearer. Because no matter what time of the day or night you take images, you need to have enough light on every part of your subject. Also, because you're using a very wide angle lens, you're getting distortion. So in the front of the building, everything is horizontal and vertical to go with the edge and the top of your your image size. But over on the side, as you can see, the steeple is kind of coming in. So there are ways of correcting that when you get into your program to lens correction. And that's something that you may want to look into. The other part of your image making was taken at night. Couple of issues with that. Remember, photography is light. The absence of light means we don't get any image. So you always need enough light on your subject. Most of the images you see that look like night photography, for instance in commercial work, would be taken more at dusk, where there's still light on the subject and in the sky. Many of the movies that look like they're taken at night are actually taken in the daytime and then filtered. Now here you have lighting in the building, but there's really no lighting on the fountain area. So what I'm going to do is show you maybe a couple of ways of changing that. Now, just by changing some of the controls, I have added like a stop and a half. So say I even add a stop, because you're underexposed. Even if you're taking at night, you still need to have enough time, and it's very hard to determine how much time you would need in a shot like you were taking. So I would not suggest taking images so late at night. It would be better to take your images, say in morning light and bright noon light or afternoon light, so you have enough lighting on your subject. So by adding blacks back into the image, I open shadow detail up. The shadow detail makes a big difference. And then I can add highlight detail back in. So we go from this image, which you really can't see. You don't have enough detail in the image. It really, I don't know where you could possibly use it. The other thing would be to set up off-camera lighting, but this would probably be best right at dusk. Hopefully there being more light on the water and the fountain. You can also change your exposure so it's a slower shutter speed so that there's movement in the water, or faster shutter speed, but slower would smooth this out a little bit. Still dealing with the lens distortion. So that's a couple of suggestions on taking your imagery. Look at your pictures. You have a lot of distance. They're all the same distance. Now it's always good to do overall shoot, a medium into the shoot or into your subject, and then close-ups. And what I'm seeing is I'm not seeing a lot of close-ups of really walking in, really seeing details from the building. You should have as many horizontal images as vertical images, so there's like an equal amount. A lot of these are underexposed because you don't have enough light and your exposure isn't set. So a lot of blue in them. You might take some of the blue out, and if I go, I'm going to go to one of the larger images to show you that. So after I've changed a lot of things, I'm going to take some of the blue out. Both of the examples to show you, because as you can see, it brightens up the image quite a bit. There's a haze from the camera. I mean, you have to set your white balance for the lighting conditions. It's harder to set it at night than it would be in the daytime, but it is something in RAW that you can, and here is a JPEG that you can correct. I would like to see more variety. Many of these images are virtually almost the same. You haven't moved the camera, you haven't walked in closer, and I'd like to see some close-ups. If you can continue on, you might do some late afternoon imagery, whatever time of the day is, either morning or afternoon, when lighting is on the first, on the front of the building that you're shooting. Also, where are the shots from the side of the building? We're trying to see an analysis. What is this building like? What does the back of the building look like? You know, you can walk around the building. What does it look like from the inside of the building? And I'd like to see more variety. You can bracket your shots also. In other words, you get your correct exposure reading, then you take it a stop or half stop lower, and a half or stop or full stop higher. I would go full stop, two stops. So do 2 stops lower, 2 stops higher. See what is in the better range for what you need. Good to do some test shooting and read your histogram. And I know you're just new at this, and so you're just learning how to do things, especially like reading histograms and whatnot. But these images here, there's just not enough light. There's no detail in them. Again, let's see if I open this up a little bit. The shadows, it helps quite a bit. But you'd also get a better effect, again, by taking it when there's more light on your subject, even though just at the time when the dusk, when the lights of the building come on, but there's still light outside. And it's a very little window of time to do that. So here's another viewpoint. But again, it's all from the front of the building. So I want to see a little bit more variety. You do have your exposure and your lens. I'd like to see a full date of capture. You do have it numbered, excellent. And your contact sheet also. The whole point of having 9 on a page is to make them large, and you have enough room for another row. So when you have all horizontal, a horizontal page orientation would work better. What I recommend, though, is because you're taking horizontal and vertical, and I know that this is, at least to give you an idea, this is not a building, obviously, but it's horizontal, vertical, horizontal. You wrote so that at least the vertical on a vertical page orientation are very large. You can also do horizontal, vertical, and then vertical, horizontal, vertical. So you can, alternate it like that, and then put all your data underneath. So anyway, to give you some idea of how to make these images as large as possible on your contact sheets. You have, because you have a vertical here, so if you had a vertical on each line, you can make these a lot larger to actually see detail, because you take these little teeny images, once you blow them up, and they start to pixelate a little bit. Also, you sent full page images for each one of your selected. You should have chosen 9 for on the contact sheet of your very favorite of the shoot. So so you just have another contact sheet with 9. Your proof sheet has 9 images on it. But with a little bit, of help from the post-production, I think, that some of these are usable, but I'd like to see you take it a bit further.